Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. It's never fun getting a flat tire, but the drivers in the San Diego area have an advantage over the rest of us. They have Thomas Weller, the San Diego Highwayman, patrolling the roads. Thomas helps those who are stuck on the side of the road, and here he is today to tell us about why he goes out looking for those people who have trouble with their tires. Thomas, thanks so much for joining us on American Voices.
Good morning, Bill. It's a pleasure.
So tell me, so you drive around looking for people. These are on the freeways.
Freeways, back roads, wherever I come across somebody that I can help, I will stop and attempt to. Yesterday I was out and just about to head home, and I spotted somebody on the southbound I-5 with traffic whizzing on both sides of them, and they had a blown and shredded right front tire.
Ooh.
And there was a female driver who was in tears, and her teenage son who was trying to change the tire, but he wasn't having a go at it. He wasn't doing well. And in the back of the van was the grandmother who they were taking to the hospital for dialysis. And I got my gear out. I started to change the tire with them. And all the time, vehicles are whizzing on both sides of us at high speed. It's exciting. It gets the blood flowing. Not literally, hopefully.
So how did you feel doing that yesterday?
Oh, that lifted me up real good.
Sure. I mean, you came to the rescue. What would they have done in the middle of all this traffic?
Who knows? Usually I don't get to see results other than folks driving away waving, and that's the way I like it.
So why do you do that?
Oh, it lifts my spirits. It gives me a reason to get up in the morning.
How long have you been doing it?
Well, since 1966.
And you never asked for any payment?
I give them a card that says it's my pleasure to help them, and the only thing they owe me is to pass it on to someone that they encounter in need.
You mean to pass along the good spirit and the help?
Yes, sir.
Well, how'd you get inspired to do this?
Well, in 1964, I got pulled out of a snowbank late one night. I was out against my mother's wishes, catting around, so to speak, in a blizzard, and I was coming home, and I lost it, went into a snowbank. I might have froze to death there, maybe. I didn't think so at 16. When the guy stopped and helped me and pulled me out, I said thank you, and I offered to pay him, and he wouldn't take money for it. He said, you pass it on.
So you actually took his advice to heart.
There you go.
And now you're passing that advice on to countless others.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's just a great story.
Well, thank you.
So tell me about some of the people that you've met along the way.
Well, I had one little female highway patrol officer come up on me. I'm helping a young girl with an overheated Mustang, and the officer doing her job, she doesn't know me, so she comes up with suspicion in her eyes, and she demands to see my business license. And I said, little lady, I don't have a business license, but I do have this, and I handed her the card that I had given to the young girl earlier, and the officer read the card, and her demeanor changed immediately, and she gave me a hug. She said, carry on. And that's the kind of thing that makes my day.
So you're in San Diego. That's close to the Mexican border. You ever encounter people who don't speak English that you've helped, and what happens there?
Oh, the one story that still brings tears to my eyes from the 70s was a Mexican family that were sitting in their car in a traffic lane because there weren't any shoulders at that point. And I pulled up behind them and made them understand that they had to get out of their car and go forwards and stand behind a freeway pillar for protection. They didn't speak English and I didn't speak Spanish, but I got them out of the car. And then I continued on my way because I didn't have a radio or phone. And now I'm coming back northbound, and where I left them is a column of dense black smoke. As I pass the scene northbound, their car and the car that hit their car are totally involved.
What does that mean?
They're burning, completely in flames, two cars. I turned around and came back. They were instantly hugging me and kissing me. Both cars burned. If they'd been sitting in the car, this is one where I can absolutely say if I hadn't stopped, the results would have been dire.
You saved their lives.
Yes, sir. Did that.
Boy, not everybody can say that, Thomas.
Well, it still gets me emotional to talk about it because, I mean, that's one way you could see that I made a difference.
So every time you go out with your tools in the truck, willing to stop on the most dangerous highway to help somebody who's got a flat tire or out of gas, you're actually taking a risk with your life.
That may be what makes it so fun, because some people go skydiving for their excitement. Me, I go play on the freeway.
And you've been doing it for 40 years.
Yes, sir.
Listen, you say that what you do is you tell others to pass it on. You've done a good turn for them, and you ask them to do a good turn for somebody else. Have you ever heard of someone passing it on? Did you help?
Well, I have one little story that I like to tell about my garden growing, because I like to say I plant seeds of kindness. I was riding in my brother's car, and we passed, 4 or 5 different incidents where people were stopped beside the road, and I was feeling kind of, unhappy because my brother doesn't do what I do. He doesn't have any tools in his car, so we couldn't really stop to help these folks, not safely anyway. So one little gal was kind of poignant because she was getting a stroller out of her car. She had a blown tire, so I beat it on home. I get my rescue rig and my shotgun girl Sheila, my dog, and we go back. And sure enough, she's still there with this flat tire. But now there's like a Windstar van behind her, and a fellow just about my age is attempting to change her tire for her using her jack and tools. And I pull up and get out, and he's jacking up the car, and he hasn't yet discovered that the spare is flat. I put my thumb on the spare, and sure enough, it's flat. So I go back to the back of my rig, and I get my air tank out, and I get my 4-way lug wrench, and I hand him that, and I proceed to air up the spare. And while we're chatting, while we're doing this, I mentioned that I went by and saw her and had to come back for her when she was still there. And he says to me that he did too. He went by and saw her, and he's thinking about how a month or 2 before, his wife had a blowout on the freeway, and somebody stopped to help her. And he had to turn around and come back and help this little gal. And he says to me, by the way, thanks for stopping and helping my wife.
Is that right? Well, I'll tell you, you don't get many things like that in your life. So he joined the Thomas Weller Club.
Yeah, the garden's growing.
Listen, I hear you have a special vehicle you use. Tell us about that vehicle. What does it look like, and what does it have in it?
Well, it's a pieced-together vehicle. It was a 55 Ford wagon that I found sitting in a vacant lot in Ocean Beach. So it's 56 from the front, 55 from the side. Taillights are Dodge. Roof rack is Chrysler. Seats are Volkswagen.
So it's a real mongrel.
Just like its owner. Anyway, I pull up to a stoplight, and sometimes people look over at me and say, who are you going to call? Because it looks just like Ghostbusters, according to them. But, what the heck? I just say, who are you going to call right back?
So you go around the highways in this car?
Yes, sir.
And you have all your tools in the car?
It is laid out inside where I can reach in and with my eyes closed and find what I need instantly, because out there, seconds count. If you're on scene 10 seconds too long, that may be the last 10 seconds you have in your life.
Thomas, you've certainly passed on from the one act of kindness that you experienced many years ago. That's for sure. What keeps you going? What keeps you out there on the road, helping another person and another person?
Well, it gives me a reason to get up every day. It makes me happy. And every day I wake up on the right side of the grass is a good day.
Listen, thank you so much for telling us about your adventures.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, I've been speaking with Thomas Weller, the San Diego Highwayman.
Help is coming. Help is coming. One day late. One day late. After you've given up and all is gone. Help is coming. One day late.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.